Migration phenomena and exchanges of European citizens within the Union produce a rapid change in society. Promoting interaction and dynamic contact between multiple languages is becoming increasingly essential for mutual understanding, social cohesion, and democratic citizenship. European language policy is based on the recognition of linguistic and cultural diversity, identifying multilingualism as a value, recognizing its social and cultural role. In this context, the educational and didactic approaches of the intercomprehension are inserted, which highlight the importance of the equal dignity of all languages, and they underline the cognitive heritage of the individual speakers, overcoming the division of monolingual learning. The European Union is based on the cohesion, the cooperation, and the solidarity of the various nations of which it is constituted, all of which operate with different languages and cultures, so it can be defined as a multilingual and multicultural. In 2005, the European Commission issued a new strategic framework for multilingualism in order to promote language learning and linguistic diversity. Approximately 50 million euros are invested each year by the EU's lifelong learning program with the aim of raising public awareness of the importance of languages, promoting access and learning and developing teaching materials. For example, the Erasmus program itself focuses on language learning. But what is the intercomprehension? Intercomprehension is a form of communication in which a person uses his or her own language and understands that of the other. Two people who speak different languages will be able to understand each other quite spontaneously, but through a course of teaching learning, understanding can be accelerated. Through intercomprehension, by exploiting the similarities between languages of the same linguistic family, it is possible to learn and understand more languages at the same time. Intercomprehension takes into consideration all the similarities between two or more languages, and it analyzes the analogies. Instead, in contrastive analysis, these elements are ignored and removed because linguistic affinity is considered a problem rather than a resource. Through a process of analogies and generalizations, the student quickly realizes that the similarities between languages of the same family allow him to understand the text. Between 2014 and 2017, some researches were carried out at the Ca' Foscari University of Venice, which focused on experimental intercomprehension courses in French, Spanish, and Portuguese. The study shows that thanks to the intercomprehension, the discovery in autonomy produces a positive emotion that facilitates the recognition and memorization of words. These emotions are felt by the learner when he compares similar terms, when he is able to rework words that initially were not clear, when he identifies similarities of meaning and sound between known and unknown terms, and when he reaches the awareness of his own knowledge and strategies. In linguistic communication, the issuer and the receiver use the same code. Partially sharing this code can lead to multilingual communication. In this type of communication, two distinct codes are used. Everyone understands the language of the other, and each one speaks in the language he knows. There are several projects for intercomprehension in Europe. Among the main ones we mention Rome 4, Galatea, Miriadi, and Rome 5. Rome 5 is the re-edition and expansion of Rome 4. It is first of all a manual for development of a plurilingual receptive competence in 5 Romance languages simultaneously: Portuguese, Spanish, Catalan, Italian, and French. Rome 5 uses a methodology that proposes reading and understanding text in 5 Romance languages. Based on the problem-solving method, students are motivated to the activity that is experienced without anxiety. The working session in Rome 5 is structured in 5 phases. The method provides that the learner has a central role because the right of approximation and autonomy in the learning process is recognized, while the teacher assumes the role of guide and support by providing help to the learner only on explicit request. In this method, the technique of a transposition of sense is used. The activity focuses on the construction of meaning and not on the production of the text. This practice, in addition to testing the comprehension of the text, allows us to observe the strategies used by the learner. Through encouragement and involvement, the intercomprehension helps the student overcome the fear of making mistakes, eliminating those situations of stress that normally inhibit learning. Through the Think Aloud technique, the learner shares with the other participants of the work session the strategies and reflection adopted to understand the text. Through the reformulation of the text, the student has the opportunity to correct himself. Through the Think Aloud technique, the learner shares with the other participant of the work session the strategies and reflection adopted to understand the text. Promoting contact and interaction between multiple languages and enhancing all culture and recognizing equal dignity, the intercomprehension teaching represents an important aggregation factor. In the context of EU language policy, it constitutes the response to the principles of the European Community. In the current socio-economic context, multilingualism represents a value as it facilitates integration, tolerance, exchanges, and mobility. Intercomprehension promotes an efficient multilingual economy. In its teaching, it exploits the affinity of languages in order to develop listening and reading skills, focusing on communication and interaction skills. The teaching of the intercomprehension is not an alternative method to the classical teaching of languages, but it is a complementary and preparatory tool. Its aim is to train individuals able to manage information in multiple languages and interact through their linguistic repertoire.